My okay, welcome everybody to the 2021 Canadian Email Summit. Very excited for everyone to be here today. I have a wonderful lineup of speakers today coming at you. Our first speakers of the day will be Dan Murphy and Tony Gueret. So Dan Murphy from Vigorate Digital and Tony Gueret from Walmart Canada. They'll be joining us for the first session of the day. But I just want to talk about how exciting email is right now and why all of us are here. If you didn't hear the news, probably the biggest acquisition ever in email marketing is taking place right now as we speak. Intuit, the makers of tax software, QuickBooks, etc., has agreed to purchase Mailchimp for approximately $12 billion in stock and cash. That is an incredible number when looking back over the history of email for the last 20 years or so. We've seen so many acquisitions. We've seen so many mergers. We've seen companies come and go. This is just an incredible story that speaks to the depth and vigor in the world of email and how exciting it is for people to continue to use this channel for communication. This is an amazing story. I'm really excited for the Mailchimp family and the people there. They've been very big, active members of the community around the world for a number of years. And I think it just speaks volume to where we sit as an industry. But getting back to what's happening in Canada. So we've got a great lineup today. As I mentioned, our first speakers will be joining us shortly, but I want to start by thanking our sponsors. Without our sponsors, we could not make this event happen. So our overall program sponsors for the entire event today and tomorrow, NetCore Cloud, Simplify, and the Response Marketing Association. We also have two session sponsors that we'll get to later as those sessions progress, but I want to thank them as well. So it's apologies, just space on the name. Newport Thompson and William Thompson Digital. The value of live events. So I want to thank all of our sponsors today for being part of the event and for making this event happen. I want to thank all of you for joining us. As I said, we're very excited to see everyone here. We are just looking at getting our panelists up to the event. So if you are a panelist, you may see the screen refresh. Looking forward, here we go. Our next session coming up is Retail CRM Marketing Transformation at Canada's largest retailer. So everyone knows the name Walmart. I'm sure everyone shops there. I'm sure everyone is part of that story. I'm really excited to hear what's happening in the world of CRM at Walmart and how it's being used and the things that you can hopefully learn from today's session in order to grow your program, move forward with email, and hopefully take away some of the tips, tools, and tactics for your own use and your own program going forward. So, Derek, did you have anything you'd like to say to the audience before we start? I'm going to bring Derek up. Derek is the chair of the Response Marketing Association, who I've partnered with for the last 3 years to facilitate this event. They've been amazing partners to bring this forward every single year. I'd like to give Derek a chance to say something as well.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I just welcome everybody, and we have a jam-packed schedule this year. We've spread it over 2 days for your convenience, and we look forward to it. The Response Marketing Association exists to help marketers be better marketers. And if you check our website out at responsema.org. On occasions, you'll find great articles that we curate on email marketing. All you have to do is go to the categories, click on email marketing, and all the great email marketing articles that we've posted over the last few years will come up. So again, welcome. And I think we need to turn it over to Dan Murphy and Tony.
Yeah, we'll definitely turn that over to them in just a moment. But Derek, I wanted to just ask, take a bit of a temperature from the Response Marketing Association's point of view in regards to the importance of email. I know you talk about it a lot, but how do your members from the Response Marketing Association view the importance of email?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think of all sizes, clients, marketing departments of all sizes. One of their key tools in their marketing kit is definitely email marketing. Some are better at it than others, and that's what the email summit's all about. Is just trying to take a marketer to another level, and that's really what the association is about. But without question, email has become one of the most reliable communication tools, maybe even overused, Matt, in my opinion. It's not a great email. Email is not a great cold call tool, but it is a great way to keep in touch with existing customers and people that you have in your circles. I think that we've under Castle we've learned to get a little bit smarter about who's on our email list and who's not.
And I think globally, looking at that sort of regulation point of view, and we've got sessions on that tomorrow. So do join us for sort of the sessions around regulation as we move forward tomorrow, being an important part of email. The trend we've seen is around improved data management, improved data ownership, and data stewardship. Is that something you continue to see or foresee in the future will get more clear, if you will, across the globe, or more standardized even?
Yeah, so at the Response Marketing Association, we believe that when we started down this road of digital, most marketers had a mass marketing mentality, because that's really what we knew. And we kind of applied that to email marketing, and it didn't work. We're now beginning to see clearly that engagement and conversion is what email's about, whereas mass marketing is about more eyeballs. And email isn't about more eyeballs. It's about engagement and conversion to scale.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's an amazing way to say it. I think, a bit of email has always been getting sort of drunk on metrics, if you will. The immediate response, the immediate gratification of seeing how campaigns perform. And I think we'll continue to see how that evolves and change. We have another session tomorrow on the upcoming changes that are happening any moment in the world of iOS for any Apple user in regards to how open rates and metrics that way will be recorded or changed in the very near future. So if you haven't been paying attention to that news, do some research on the Apple MPP, which is the Mail Privacy Protection changes coming to the next version of macOS and iOS devices. The expectation is this is dropping any time now. It could be as early as next week. This will be coming to devices eligible for the next level of Apple's operating systems. So big changes coming. We've got a great panel on that tomorrow. We've got an AMA on deliverability. We have a wonderful panel of ladies that work in the deliverability field. They are ready to answer your questions. They've got some interesting stuff lined up. They've been polling the audience in advance, sort of just trying to get their finger on the pulse of what people are interested in, and it looks like it's shaping up to be an amazing session. and I'm really, really excited. We are a little ahead of time here, but knowing how interesting the next topic is going to be, Dan, if you're ready, I'm willing to let you start a few minutes early and then run right up to the scheduled time. So just give you a few more minutes here if that works for you. I'm ready to give you the reins, and you can start if you have something to share. Otherwise, do please just turn on your cameras and off we go.
All right, very gracious of you. Thanks, Matt. We'll certainly take that extra 10 minutes. That was my main concern. We have so much to talk about. When Tony and I did our dry run, I was not letting me start my video, but you can hear me. When we did our dry run, we were running out of time. We want to make sure that we have enough time to do some Q&A at the end. So we'll ensure that we have that time set aside. So I'll share my screen here. Bear with me. All right, can everybody see that?
Yep, looks great from this side.
Fantastic. All right. So hey, everybody, welcome to the session. First session of the day. I'm always been a leadoff hitter, so I'm excited for that. My name is Dan Murphy. I'm the Group Account Director here at Vigorate. At Vigorate, we have the privilege of being one of the premier Salesforce Marketing Cloud partners in North America. And as such, we have the pleasure of working with some incredible clients, and I'm joined by one today. Tony Gueret, Senior Manager of CRM and Lifecycle Management at Walmart Canada. Tony, I'll hand it to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Dan, for not butchering my name.
Oh, I've been practicing, my friend.
Tony Gueret, indeed. I'm French, so if you can't understand me, just let me know. I can always repeat. But yeah, I have been working for Walmart for just over 2 years now, and I was working in very similar fashion for Best Buy for 9 years before that, and even longer in CRM and email marketing. So it's a pleasure to be part of this group today to share what we did, and hopefully some people can learn a few things and can apply as well in their own company. And I think there's always things to do. It's very, very exciting to work in email marketing, even though it was told years ago that email would be dead, and no, it's going strong. So very, very exciting world.
I think that's a good point, Tony. The death of email marketing has been greatly exaggerated. So as this conference proves, and as we'll discuss today as well, today we're going to focus on some of the transformative effects that taking a lifecycle marketing approach can have on your business. How to get there, how to navigate some of the unique challenges and opportunities that have presented themselves throughout the pandemic, and changes in customer behavior that have driven pivots in approach from marketers. So certainly, I think all of us at the beginning of 2020 had our plans for the year, the things we were going to do, the strategies planned, the tactics on how we're going to bring those to life. And then everything pivoted pretty hard all of a sudden. So we'll talk a little bit about that and how that changed our approach and the results of that. So we'll take our first 25 minutes or so, maybe 30 with a little bit extra time that we have to have our discussion. And then for the last 10 minutes or so, we'll open it up for some Q&A. So without further ado, everybody's favorite overview. What is the vision of a CRM marketing program? Tony, I'll hand it to you. Maybe can you speak a little bit about how you define life cycle marketing?
Yeah, like it's I think here, like the CRM vision is really deliver the right message to the right customer at the right time, the right channel. But if we kind of look at lifecycle marketing, it goes a little bit beyond, because it's really to understand the life stage of a customer and provide the right communication at the right time. And the understanding of the customer is very important. And the uniqueness of each customer, meaning that each customers have a different life cycle or they are at a different life stage, we really need to use signals to trigger a communication on a specific channel. Those signals can be behavioral signals, demographic signals. And when I say behavioral, it could be browsing activity, purchasing activity, clicking activity. There's different ways to look at it. So for the life cycle of a subscriber, you really have to look at from acquisition to purchase, and even after purchase, customers are tend to lapse and re-entering the journey at different stage again, and we need to nurture them throughout. So if I break it down a little bit, the acquisition is usually pre-email, obviously, but very, very important. So in order to get the right customers that will help us to contribute to our company growth and our objectives. We can look at the first communication that those customers receive with a welcome journey to really help them to engage right away with the company and the brand, and to get this trust and retention in order to create certain loyalty. And throughout, customers will browse your site, and we have different engagement journeys that we can have, like back in stock, price drop, browse abandon, search abandon. You may also add a product to your cart, and obviously abandoned cart is quite a big contributor, high converter, and really engaging journey, but we should not disregard other journeys. And then customers make a purchase. What happened then? We should still work with them to continue the journey with the company, to retain them. It can be just right after a purchase, so some product review surveys, or it could be a product specific journey. If you purchase in specific category, we can continue to go within the same category, work some upsell, cross sell, some segmentation. And when I say segmentation, is here it's interesting because Derek was talking about no mass email. Well, you can do mass email, but mass email don't mean that they are one size fits all. You can have personalization within those mass emails based on the different signals for those customers and different segments of those customers. Fortunately, some customers also lapse, churn, and you want to re-engage them, and they might come at different time. They might make repeat purchases. So it's always a circle that comes back, and your life cycle is always changes as your customers are changing, the environment around the ecosystem is changing. And what I would like to say as well is the subscriber life cycle is not necessarily secluded to email. It can be used for all the channels. And really, when you think about email is just one channel, but if you think about CRM, you should really think about the channel of choice from a customer. Email is a very big contributor, but other channels as well. And you can work those different channels in conjunction.
I think that's an important point, Tony, in terms of not just limiting yourself to thinking about email, and certainly that can be enabled in a number of different ways, whether the platform you're using has that functionality built in natively, or whether you're making connections to other platforms to enable that. And as we speak about the life cycle here, and welcome journeys and engaging and abandon, getting them back to finally making a purchase, and then trying to keep them in this, sometimes call it the engagement vortex, or a former colleague of mine used to call it the spaghetti monster of engagement. We want to keep people in this area, right? And when they lapse, how do we bring them back in and keep them in that engagement vortex? And that's through, in an ongoing fashion, providing content of value that's going to bring them back. Tony, would you be able to share a little bit around how the approach looks in the context of Walmart, which often cases, people are shopping at the store at least once a week, oftentimes multiple times a week, versus comparing to, another context of yours being Best Buy, where potentially, that's a lower frequency shop, maybe higher priced items in general. What are some of the key nuances between those two approaches and those two environments?
Sure. When we're at Best Buy, obviously we wish our customers would shop every week, but it doesn't happen. Even at Walmart, it happens on some categories and not all categories. So I think we have to look at the life cycle based on the product or services that we provide to our customers. Walmart has both general merchandising and grocery. Grocery, we can create this habit, this weekly shop. So we really have to understand this pattern and really try to create this habit from the start and bring customers to the second and third and fourth purchase to really create this loyalty to the brand by repeating the purchase, maybe incentives or not, but that's really the habit that we're trying to build. For general merchandising, there's some product that can have a certain repeat pattern. Let's say ink for printers, for example. You might expect a faster repeat purchase compared to TV. You won't buy a TV every 2 months, but you might buy ink every 2 months. So the life cycle customer is not necessarily only at a customer level, but also at a product or category level. And within each of those categories, you might have some subsets. So the beauty about email and about email platform is the way you can play with journeys and you can automate those branches based on those customer attributes and have specific details to create sub journeys to really go to the next step. It could be an engagement play, it could be a conversion play. There's different goals that you want to have, but you always have to think about the goal you want to achieve, create the right journey to achieve this goal. And it takes time, and it doesn't mean that you need to have all those journeys in place right away. You can create a few and evolve your program because over time you'll be able to kind of build upon it. And then in the context of Walmart, definitely adapt specifically for grocery and general merchandising, but looking also at this crossover. You want to bring people from general merchandising to grocery and vice versa, to have a customers that shop across the entire company, because Walmart is a great position for that we want it to be a one-stop shop. So we can do that.
Good point. Yeah, and to that point, Tony, certainly there is a unique opportunity at Walmart to make that happen. And it's really, all rooted in this concept that, by keeping active shoppers engaged, we've all heard that it takes 10 new acquisitions to replace, one a tried loyal customer. And certainly the larger the footprint that we can have with customers in terms of their shop, their basket size or general assortment of products is going to be a huge contributor in driving repeat behaviors. Maybe speak a little bit about, with Best Buy's context and the, I guess, loyalty program that maybe would drive back versus Walmart where there isn't a loyalty program. How do you maybe utilize some of the same concepts without a formalized loyalty program?
Yeah, the concept of loyalty can be seen in different ways. You can have a membership program that obviously you increase the notification of a customer. You can also with membership provide an additional services, free shipping, or having some bonus points if you spend a certain way, like shoppers, for example. Or you can have a soft loyalty program that could be a surprise and delight. It can be addressing different customers differently. If you look at the customer lifetime value, you may maybe treat your most engaged customers, the most valuable customers, the surprise and delight retention program, sometimes incentive or just acknowledgement to really retain those customers because they are very, very important. But on the other hand, you might look at customers who are about to churn and try to maybe incentivize them to come back. So there's different approach. A loyalty program can be very costly. I remember when I was at Best Buy, we actually retired the loyalty program because it is actually more costly than the benefit that it created. But a soft program can be interesting too. So there's pros and cons on both sides. It really depends where you're at, how much you want to spend, and what is the value proposition of the company. Walmart being a everyday low price, we cannot really play on the incentivization all the time because it goes against this first principle of being everyday low price. So there's each company will have a different approach.
That's a good point. I think at the end of the day, there's multiple tactics and can be put in place with different segments of customers, but treating your best customers best is always certainly an important first step in driving ongoing engagement with high value customers. So with that, let's shift a little bit in terms of the conversation and look at, understanding all of this and what we've been speaking about. How has the shift in digital adoption been changed or accelerated during the pandemic? Certainly over the last number of years, we've seen that continual consumer shift to more digital engagement, but the acceleration was kind of forced by an extreme event. So let's talk a little bit about what that looked like in retail in general and at Walmart specifically as well.
Yeah, that's acceleration, definitely the word. And we thought at first it would be a temporary acceleration and then we kind of go back to normal. No, this is the new norm. We continue at a very fast pace. And it's a little bit because we are a victim of our own success. We created some great engagement that our customers really enjoy because we provided value to them. They use this value and they want more, and we want to be able to provide more for our customers, because if we do something that they would enjoy and use, automatically they would stay with us, and we can create this retention. So the customer approach, customer first approach is very important. During the beginning of COVID, what we saw was really a shift from in-store to online. We work really, really hard to help our customers to have ability to shop online. And even though there's a few snags, we were already working toward this, but we kind of accelerated our progress really fast, and were able to unlock a lot of possibilities. And everyone in the company really worked together to try different things and to make it happen. Try new things is a very, very important thing. It's I'd say fail fast, move forward. You need really to try new initiatives, and sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not, but learn from it and then continue to move and try a little bit a first initiative and use a kind of building block approach to really optimize and continue building on those great initiatives that you have, or scale to other categories, or adapt to other categories, or adapt to different customer type in a different way. So that's definitely something that we have done. Luckily, what we had was just before COVID, we really worked on a back to foundation approach. And from those foundation, we were able to really understand the customers by adding different data points to create segmentation, adding browsing behavior, adding purchase behavior, trying to infer different behavior from our customers from what we saw. Then we're able to create segments and customer type, and that allowed us to move forward and to create small quick wins, which kind of helped us to continue move to the next win and the next win, and helped us as well to get the support from the different stakeholders in the company to continue this approach and to even get more data points, because we prove the success, and then we were able to continue moving forward. So the acceleration was really to understand better our customers, add more initiatives faster in the markets. They're not fully ideal. That's okay. They're never fully ideal. And then building on them, trying to do some tests in different journeys, different trigger programs, and retire those that don't work, or test those that work and don't work actually, to optimize them and to continue forward.
I think that those are some really good points, Tony. The groundwork had already started, to be laid at Walmart in terms of this shift in thinking, empowering first-party data and understanding how it can help with the understanding of the customer, with how we can target people to provide them the most relevant content. And for everybody, listening today, if this type of kind of big shift in mentality can take place at Walmart, right? A large retailer who's been around for a long time, has had a lot of success doing things a certain way. I think, it can be done anywhere. And certainly, Tony, what you're saying with taking what you have, proving use cases with it, and then getting a little bit more rope and then proving use case there, right? Fail fast, learn fast, iterate, show the wins. And taking that approach, you can really, incrementally move the needle forward. And then certainly having to pivot and having the overall profile of the CRM program raised by COVID was something that it was important that shift had already started, and that we were in a position to really be able to respond to the needs of customers in that moment.
Yeah, but I would say as well is take every challenge as an opportunity. It might be hard at times, but you should definitely try. It's not because your mandate is one thing that you need to limit yourself to this mandate. So you can go beyond it and try different things. Also, like what you're saying, like take what you have and use it is quite important, because really often what you see is company that will really try to spend years to complete all their data set together, which is very, very hard for corporation, before starting a program. Well, you can't. You don't have luxury to wait that long. So even if you have just a few data sets, you can already experiment with those. You can try. And once again, if that works, then you'll gain support to get more data sets and to do more experiments.
Fantastic. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit from the impact of COVID. Obviously, it's been very important. Let's talk a little bit about what that kind of maturation process looks like, going from mass to personalized, targeted, realizing the CRM vision. So, can you share a bit about, I guess, how we're pursuing that vision, where we started, and what's the North Star? Where are we going?
Sure. Well, when I started at Walmart, most of the emails were mass. Part of the reason was there was not a big team to do it. So you need enough people to do that, and you need also people with the right skill set in order to understand the data, to be able to dig into the data and work it. So the main thing for us was to work on those foundation, as you wrote here, to maximize our first party data. And that's very important, like to understand our customers. If we have bad data to start with, we can't really go anywhere. Then the second part was really to add a few triggers and journeys, just to see if it works, to prove or disprove your theory, and to see what works, what doesn't. When you start from all mass to a few triggers, you will show, hopefully, very quick wins. And I remember for us having our first trigger, people were baffled because it was so new, and it was so simple that I was a bit surprised. But it was a big step because it was such a shift in the way we worked from mass to targeted. Again, when I started the always-on campaigns, so trigger campaigns, we had just a few. We had a lapse journey for online grocery, but it was very, very early on, and that represented just under 3% of the overall email revenue. A year later, with all the work that we did, our always on generated 45% of our email revenue, and we grew our revenue 3 times. So
I think, sorry, Tony, I want to pause you there for a second. That is huge in terms of understanding, by going to a more always on approach, we weren't just cannibalizing the existing email revenue. We were building on the existing. As email revenue grew overall, a larger percentage of it was attributed to those always on triggers, but it wasn't at the expense of the other programs that we're running.
Absolutely. I think mass emails will always remain because there's corporate mandates, some stories to tell, some categories to sell. We have no choice. But the importance of mass versus targeted and retargeted will shift more and more. I think most of the successful companies have a very strong segmented, targeted, and retargeted approach. I really, really think that for us, my aim is to have in 3 years' time 85% of the revenue generated by always-on campaigns. That's my goal. So it's really to really work on all those smaller targeted campaign, but very targeted, very effective. So smaller targeted audience, but higher conversions, higher engagement, and that will also drive better retention because it's relevant. If you have only campaigns that are not relevant, you will see unsubscribe and churn. So you really have to kind of work with this. And I know myself, I have to still do a lot of mass campaigns. I have no choice, but there's this evolution in the mindset, the evolution of the program that we have. And for scalability, we have to go beyond it to really fully automate the program and to use AI to scale up. That's really, for me, like the only way I see that we can scale fully. So yeah, here's kind of what I was saying about building blocks. So it's kind of where we were at the beginning. And number one, really working on those foundation. We had data. We didn't do anything with it. So we didn't even know where to start. And then we started to add a bit of triggers and targeted content, even in the mass emails. Slowly but surely, we're growing. And then we're adding, we're optimizing those journeys, having some A/B tests. You can even have like different branches like A, B, C, D test, and having some winners after a certain time. Create your own sets of logic and win KPIs really, but really looking at the results and analyzing the results, learning from that and shifting. That's very, very important. And multi-moment was kind of a cross-channel personalization initiative, because as I said, CRM shouldn't be just email. Email is a very high ROI channel that has a broad reach, and definitely it's fantastic. It's also like very trackable, so it's a very, very important channel in your arsenal. But if you create some journeys that use email and maybe push and social display together, it can work. And use your own channel that are not as costly, like email first. Those customers who engage on email, why would you bombard them on Facebook, on display, spending a lot of money when they already engage with you, already converted with you? So use this data also for sometimes for amplification, or sometimes for suppression for the other channels. And that's where you see all the channels are connected together, and try to use the customer data centric, not at the channel level, but at a company level, that each channel can consume and utilize to create a more seamless communication across channel for each customer. And your customers will resonate. It will resonate for your customers as well. And I think it will be more effective.
Yeah, I think that concept, of seamless cross-channel can seem a little elusive, right? But it really, you can connect all the channels that you want. It comes back to the data foundation and how you're, then activating that first-party data. With our last minute or so here before we go over to our Q&A, we can maybe talk a little bit about that first-party data activation, and then touch on how we go about prioritizing, right? What needs to happen first? What projects do we tackle first? How do we determine that? So Tony, hand it to you to talk.
Yeah, I think maybe you can jump to the next slide about prioritization, especially because when you work on it, we kind of alluded on the use your channels that are maybe less costly, that already generate a good ROI. Maybe you can track better, understand your customer better first, and then use this data for suppression and amplification on other paid channel.
Mhm.
But after to look at the prioritization, because you might have hundreds of projects that you would want to do, you really have to look at opportunity and dependencies and efforts. So your goal is to have a greatest opportunity, and your KPI is yours. It can be revenue generating, it could be engagement, it could be number of visits on your site, etc. Your dependencies is, do you have access to this data? Do you require a secondary team for this? Do you need extra data feed? Well, more dependency that you have, slower the process will be, because it's hard to activate on those other teams. And effort is how much labor or people you need to kind of build those campaigns. So the lower the dependency and effort is, and the higher the opportunity is, that's where you should focus on first. And then you go really from this to a bit, maybe a bit less opportunity and still minimum dependencies and efforts, etc. So it's up to you to look at, but you need to look at this balance. My advice would say, less you're dependent on others, more you can do. So try to build your team that you can utilize the data, consume the data, create your experiments without having to work on others, with others, because if you need to require another team to work on it, it might be a sprint, 2 sprints, 3 months, a year later. Try to really kind of work on the data that you have first, and bring some opportunities, but bring those quick wins. Quick wins is very, very important. Like you'll showcase your value, your team value, and you'll be able to demonstrate the growth that you can provide.
Fantastic. What I take from this, and probably my number one takeaway, is the importance of planning and preparedness, right? We talk about, realizing quick wins, but if we can't properly identify where the quick wins are, we can't just start, throwing darts at the wall and hoping we hit a target. There's a lot that goes into looking at not just the programs that we want to run, but based on our goals, the KPIs that we're being measured against, what do we need in order to enable them most effectively? And what does the roadmap look like to get to where we need to be, to then be able to do an exercise like this and have a complete understanding of not only the opportunity, what's the engagement level and revenue that we can expect, but then mapping that against that dependencies and effort. There's a lot of work that happens before we get to this point to be fully informed.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, I know we have about 6 minutes left, and there's some great questions.
Yes, there are some questions, Dan. It's Derek here.
Yeah.
So some great points, guys. Very well stated, and you really got to the heart of the matter. So thank you. Any tips for determining the lifetime value of a digital versus in-store shopper? Tony, I would think that's directed at you.
Yeah, and that's really something that we are addressing it now, and we are already doing some matching for our customers, and there's it can be based on same credit card being used from in-store and online. If you have a membership loyalty program, you can identify those customers. If you have e-receipts, you can also connect via the dot. Basically, is how can you create this customer identification in store? I think it's a challenge for most companies. In store, it's more anonymous, but it may be ways in the back end to match those customers, and then you have a bit more of a 360-degree view of a customer.
I would also add certainly that that Venn diagram of in-store versus digital, the overlap is increasing more and more and more, whereas it's not, you know, one channel or the other. It's certainly a both and scenario.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. In what scenario would you use push app messaging for Walmart? What would you recommend the use of push notifications for other industries?
Well, we are doing that on some mass communication to push our flyer for some main events, but also for retargeting. For example, card abandon. We are doing this. Funny enough, kind of try to do push retargeting for grocery. Doesn't work that much, but for card abandon, it's actually working as well as email. So really, you have to try. Like, each company is different. I think you have to test, but yeah, push is a great way to get our customers. But I think the tolerance is not as high as email, so you have to be careful.
Mm.
Excellent.
All right. Any other questions from anyone? We have a few more minutes left. Maybe as we wait to see if anybody chimes in, Tony, maybe we can end just with an overview of, you know, what are some of the key wins that have been driven by this, you know, shift in approach to unlock data, power more personalization, and real-time marketing efforts. I know one of the top ones that you underscored already was, you know, the shift in 3% revenue attribution always on programs to 45% and the continued growth of that. What are some of the top programs, the key wins that have been realized?
Well, I think building blocks is really important, and building blocks and scalability. Like, building blocks is you start with something, because never your journey will be ideal. So you try, and then you can optimize it, and then you can scale. Let's look at a post-purchase journey we did. At Walmart, we have many categories, and we started with one category to test the water, to see how the data would work, how the triggers are working. So we did one. It worked. We've then added 4 categories, and then 10 categories, and then again 18 categories. So that's scalability in essence, that you learn from how you build. You don't have to build the entire process right away, but then you can scale up your process and adapt it and add categories or complete your journey. You don't have to do everything at once. And when it's done, it's not done. You still have to optimize it, change it, learn from it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
It's true. You think you have it all squared away, and then Apple comes out with a new release, right? And you have to pivot.
Yeah, I love it. It ties back to what I said in the opening, Tony. It starts with engagement, conversion, right?
Absolutely.
And then scale. But you got to get the first 2 pieces right before you start scaling, or you'll end up failing badly. So very good. The building blocks piece is very, 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 very good advice to anybody looking to go down this route. And this is where email's going. So yeah, very good.
Well, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Being here today. So looking forward to the other presentations.
Yes,
Great. Thank you very much.